Okay, so this is part 2 of the graphing functions under transformations. And the first thing I like to do is, in this dotted box up here, is go through all the transformations from left to right and state what those transformations are. It's important to know what exactly is happening to the parent function before just blindly plotting points and getting the transform function. Okay? Now of course there's always different techniques to do things, but what I like to do is, just to keep things simple, just go straight through from left to right and list all the transformations from left to right as you see them. So you can identify the parent function if you wish. At this point you don't really need to, although it's written right there, so that kind of gives away a bit of the secret. So obviously the parent function is a cubic function, and then let's just go through from left to right to state the transformation. So pause the video please and work on that right now. So the very first thing is a vertical stretch by 2. The next thing, we go inside the bracket then. That's a reflection in the y-axis. Then this next thing is a horizontal stretch by 3, okay, because that's the opposite of what you think. With the vertical you multiply by that factor, but in this case you divide by that, which when you divide by a fraction you flip and multiply, then so that's why it's a horizontal stretch by 3. And then we go further inside, we see that it is a horizontal translation, 1 unit to the right, and then we come outside here, and that is a vertical translation, 5 units down. Okay, so I prefer that you actually write the actual words instead of just writing down short forms that you think I'll understand. I think it's better that you just write it all out so that I know it's a translation and not an HT 1U to the R. Okay, I appreciate that you spell things out for me. Okay, and so now what we're going to do, now that we know what exactly is happening to the parent function, now we're going to go about working out where exactly we're going to plot these points. So generally I take 5 significant points on the parent function, in this case these ones here, and then I'm going to use this transformation statement to actually plot those new points. Okay, so for the x values, take a look inside. What's exactly happening to each of the x values? Well, we know there's a reflection of the y-axis, so that means that all the x values are going to be multiplied by -1. And we know it's a horizontal stretch by 3, so all the x values are going to be multiplied by 3. And those are all the x values that we see here. And then there's a horizontal translation 1 unit to the right, so that means that we're going to be adding 1 to that -3 times x. Okay, so that will generate, from these x values, that'll generate all the new x values for the transform function. Now we'll go outside and deal with the vertical translations, or the vertical transformations. And so we see out here is a vertical stretch by 2. Sorry, as I'm pointing up and you can't see the written descriptions. Vertical stretch by 2, so that means that we're going to multiply 2 times all these y values, and then it's a vertical translation 5 units down, which means then that we're going to subtract 5 from all those values. Okay, so now you don't have to worry about the cube in this statement, this relation, because that was already taken care of in this first part. Okay, so we cubed -2 to get -8, we cubed -1 to get -1, etc. So you don't have to worry about the cubic anymore. That's already taken care of. All we're going to do now is take these x values from here and plug them into the x here to get the new x values, x coordinates of the new points. Take these y values, plug them into the y there, and get these new y values or new y coordinates of the points, and then we'll be plotting new points as we see here. Okay? So pause the video now please and substitute in the values for x, substitute in the values for y, and get your new ordered pairs, please. Okay, so we're going to get 7, 3 plus 1 is 4, 1, negative 2, and negative 5. And then over here we got negative 16 minus 5 is negative 21, negative 7, negative 5, minus 3, sorry, negative 3, and 16 minus 5 is 11. Okay, then all we have to do is just take those points, these new points, these ordered pairs, and plot those, and hopefully there is space on the grid to plot them. Okay, so 7, negative 21. So go ahead and please plot these points, and I will also plot them as you. Okay, so there's a point 7, negative 21. Then we'll go to 4, negative 7. Then 1, negative 5. Negative 2, negative 3. And then the last one is negative 5 and 11. Sorry, negative 5, yeah, positive 11. Okay, and then just sketch the best you can. And that is basically well, that's a rough sketch of the transform function given by this equation. Okay, let's try another one. Okay, again we'll take a look at the parent function we see as a quartic. You can also tell that by the 4 up here in the exponent. And state all the transformations. So pause the video please and state all the transformations from left to right. Okay, so we have a reflection in the x-axis. Then we have a vertical stretch by 2. Then inside we have a horizontal stretch by 4. And we've got a horizontal translation, 1 unit to the right, and then a vertical translation, two units up. Okay, so now that we have that, we can then take these points, these ordered pairs here, from the parent function and sub them into these headings that we're going to have here for the actual transformations. So the the x values again, here is a horizontal stretch by 4, so that means what we're going to do is we're going to be multiplying the x values by 4, and then a horizontal translation 1 unit to the right, which means we're going to be adding 1 to that product. Then we're going to have a reflection in the x-axis, which means that all the y values are going to be multiplied by -1. A vertical stretch by 2, which means obviously all the y values are going to be multiplied by 2. And then a vertical translation up 2 units. So we add 2 to that product. Okay, so now we go ahead and calculate the new coordinates of the new points of the transform function. So please go ahead and pause the video and fill in these coordinates.